2.
Hi, it's Mrs. Hanley again, and we're back here again for a weekly math lesson. This week we're estimating square and cube roots. Remember last week we found our square and cube roots and we did the perfect squares, and I mentioned to go to Quizlet, and I even put the perfect cubes up this week. So if you go to Moodle, well, which you already are a Moodle, or else you wouldn't have found the video, I put the links for the Quizlet so you can do flashcards on the computer to study those perfect and cube roots. They will be so helpful this week because estimating means that we're going to find an approximate answer, not the exact one, without a calculator. That's the kicker about estimating. So I prefer that you do try to memorize your perfect cubes and your perfect squares so that you can do this easier. Okay, so what we're going to do, these are from some of the questions from the homework sheet that's listed on Moodle. So I just did one of each type so you can see, and then you can do the rest, send it to me, and I'll give you feedback on it. All right, so we have the square root of 38. So we have to figure out, where does 38 fall within our perfect squares? So if we remember, 1 squared equals 1, 2 squared equals 4, 3 squared equals 9, 4 squared equals 16. As you can see, this is why it's important to know those perfect squares. 5 squared equals 25. 6 squared equals 36. And 7 squared equals 39. And we might as well finish since we're 8 squared, 49. You know, I mess up in class too. 8 squared equals 64. 9 squared equals 81, and 10 squared equals 100. Okay, so the square root of 38. So then you look in your list, or you think in your mind if you have them memorized, where does 38 fall? 38 falls between 36 and 49. Your directions were defined to estimate it to the closest integer. So then you ask yourself, is 38 closer to 36? Or is it closer to 49? And hopefully you realize it is closer to 36. So that means that our estimate, so we're not going to use an equal sign, we're going to use the curvy equal sign because it's not exact, it's approximate. The square root of 38 is approximately 6 because 38 is closer to 36 than 49. Cubed roots are the same way. We only need a few cube roots. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Okay? That's as far as we need to go for this one. But you can go on to Quizlet and look up those perfect cubes. So then we ask ourselves, in my perfect cubes, where does 26 fall? Well, it falls between 8 and 27. So that means our answer will be 2 or 3. But we have to figure out which one is it closer to. 26 is closer to 27. So the cubed root of 26 is approximately 3. This is because they asked for the estimate to the nearest integer, which is just a single digit. Okay, so number 9. You freaking out because there are decimals and there are fractions on your paper. It's okay, you're still doing an estimate. So this is square root. This one's the cubed root because the little 3. So we're back to square roots. So we look in our list. Where does 86 fall? Oh, it will fall between 81 and 100. Well, is it closer to 81? Or is it closer to 100? Yes, it is closer to 81, so that means the approximation is approximately 9. All right, so you should be able to do that section. These all came from the top section. Then the next section is to order them from least to greatest. Well, we already have 2 that are integers, so we don't have to worry about those. We just have to worry about these 2. Okay, so the square root of 61, again, the same thing. Where does it fall? It falls between 49 and 64. It is closer to 64, so this one is approximately 8. And then you think, well, we'll come back to that because when we go to put them in order, we already have an 8. And then the other one is 71, which falls between 64 and 81. And where does it fall closer to? Well, it's 10 away from this one. It's only 7 away, so you might have to do a little bit of math because that one's pretty close to the middle, and it is closer to 8. And you're like, oh no, now I have 3 8s. How am I going to put them in order? Okay, so we know that the 10 is going to be last, so we can go ahead and put this one. All right, so let's go back to 61. It came before 8. So does that mean it would be greater than 8 or less than 8? It hopefully, because it comes before the 8, it comes in between, then it's going to be less than. So this one is going to be just a little bit less than 8. And this one comes after the 8. It comes between 8 and 9. So this one is going to be a little bit greater than 8. You don't need to know the exact amount. Again, I would like you to do all of this without a calculator. All right, so then when we go to put them in order, we have the less than 8 one first. So square root of 61 will come first. Then we have our normal 8. And then we have the one that is a little bit greater than 8. So we have the square root of 71 here. And that's how you put them in order, least to greatest. All right, this one, it's easy. I just didn't want you to get confused because it's written in a different way. Remember, we're looking for the answer for D, so we got to get rid of the square, which means we do the opposite to both sides. And we get D equals the square root of 61. And so that's where your square root comes in. You did the same process. It comes between 49 and 64, a little bit closer to 64, so it's approximately 8. That was mainly so you knew to find the square root. Okay, and then half of you are shutting down now. Oh darn, word problems. And there's some information in here in this problem that we will not use. The radius of a cylinder with a volume V and height of 10 centimeters is approximately the square root of V over 30. If a can that is 10 centimeters tall has a volume of 900 centimeters cubed, what is the estimate of the radius? Well, because they told us this, that the radius is approximately the square root of the volume divided by 30, that's all we need. We don't need the formula for the cylinder. We don't need pi. We don't need the height. All we need is the volume and this little formula right here that they gave us. So we plug it in, plug our volume in for V, which is the square root of 900 divided by 30. Again, you should be able to do this without a calculator. Take those zeros off, and 3 goes into 90 3 times, and you have that extra 0. So what we're really finding is the estimation of the square root of 30. We didn't need all of that other information. And don't get caught up with, oh, I don't know the volume formula. You didn't need it for this problem. Make sure you're reading carefully. So we go to our list again, and 30 falls between 25 and 36. This one's really close, but it is just a little bit closer to 5. And we just want an integer and no decimals. So it is approximately 5 centimeters. So let me know if you have any questions. If you do the worksheet, send me the worksheet. I didn't even bother with the textbook. I know some of you had issues with the online textbook last week. And we'll see you next week with another lesson. Have a great week.